Okay, so now we are going to start with probably one of my favorite parts of this summer, as we're going to start with our indoor gardens. So we are going to plant a few different herbs this summer that are going to help us in our cooking. We're going to use them in our recipes to understand kind of what they taste like, how to use them in different ways. I want these to be things that you actually use in your house. I don't want you to get 3 new houseplants just for the sake of it, right? I want you to use them to understand what they taste like and to enjoy what their flavors are. So the first one that we have is thyme, and I've gone ahead and potted this, okay? Thyme is an herb that gets used in a lot of Mediterranean food. So the Mediterranean is a section of the world that's really kind of in between Europe and Asia. It bridges together countries like Italy and Greece and Turkey. Gets used in a lot of European cooking, but also in Middle Eastern cooking. So I love the way that it smells. I think it smells kind of peppery. It's not a spicy herb. You can use it in pasta sauces. You can use it as a garnish, just as something to decorate on top and add a little bit more flavor. Sometimes I really love the taste of fresh herbs, so I just grab whole chunks of them and put them in my salads, so that as I'm biting through greens that might be kind of boring, like lettuce, I get just a little bit of a different concentrated flavor from the herbs. So as we are potting our plants, I want to give you the opportunity to experience what these things feel like. We probably could have planted them and it would have been a little less messy ahead of time, but I want you to feel what a root system feels like, and I want you to feel what wet soil should feel like, so that you understand when you're taking care of your plant whether it has too much water or not enough water, and you understand this part of gardening. The messy part is almost undoubtedly one of the most fun parts. So to minimize our mess though, I like to put down a garbage bag down over my workstation, so that when I'm done, I can just wrap it all up, dust it off in the garbage, and have a clean workspace again, okay? You can also use like paper grocery bags from the store if you have that on hand. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your herb out of the container that you got it in, and you kind of want to loosen up what we call the root ball. So these little things that you see here that are kind of clear and white, these are the roots. This is the way that your plant drinks water. It's the way that it eats the nutrients that are within your soil. Is the way it stays healthy. Think of it almost like the blood system, the veins that kind of go through your body to make sure that you have blood in your brain and your arms and your legs, so you can move around and think and focus throughout the day. That's what these are for the plant, okay? So it's important to take care of these really well. So we want to kind of loosely press around them to loosen them up from the container that they were in. And then you are going to fill your container about 1/3 of the way up with soil, with fresh soil. And then you're going to place in your plant and cover it with soil. And you want there to be about 1/2 inch from the top. So as you can see, I'm putting soil in, and then I'm pressing it down with my fingers. You want it to be kind of nice and tight in there, so that the roots can grow into firm soil instead of kind of loose soil. It also helps to water things a little bit more evenly, so that parts of your root systems don't dry out before the other parts. Okay, so this looks about right. You have about that 1/2 inch of soil from the top. This herb is basil. I love basil. Basil is used in a lot of Mediterranean cooking. I feel like a lot of times it is connected to Italian cooking, because there are so many delicious Italian dishes that use it well. Things like pesto or a caprese salad, or a margarita pizza all use things like basil, but basil is also used in a lot of Asian cultures. Basil gets used in Vietnamese culture as a fresh herb to add onto a hot bowl of pho, which is a Vietnamese beef noodle soup. And it can be spicy sometimes, it can be sweet. There are probably, that I know of, probably about 15 different kinds of basil, and they all taste a little bit different. So this one you can use to put into your pasta sauces. If you have a pizza night at home and you're decorating your pizza, this is a great thing to put on top of cheese because it tastes so delicious on it. But you can also eat it in sweet things. So if you want to make lemonade at home and make it just a little bit brighter, a little bit more interesting, you can use some basil leaves to put in there, and it will change the flavor, make it really, really beautiful. The last herb that I'm going to pot with you is mint. I love mint. It's one of my favorite ones. I can literally just take leaves straight off of them and chew on them. It'll give you good breath. But I think it tastes really delicious. When I was growing up at my house, mint was like the grass that grew around our front yard. You could literally find it anywhere. Mint is spicy, but not in the way that we think of spicy as in like chili powder or like a hot pepper. It's more like black pepper, where you kind of add it to food a little bit to contrast salty flavors or acidic flavors. You can use it, much like basil, you can use it in sweet recipes and you can use it in savory recipes. I like to put whole chunks of it into my salad. You can also use it in lemonade. And for the most part, you eat it kind of fresh. So you add it on top as after the fact to add just a little bit of a nice flavor profile. So you can see that the root ball is pretty much disintegrated here. But you'll want to go ahead and place that in your container, and the same thing we did with the basil. We want to cover it until there's about a 1/2 inch left. Make sure that you're patting down to pack down the soil that you're putting in. So these herbs are probably going to look really different at the beginning of the summer towards the end of the summer, right? If you are taking care of your herbs and watering them when they're thirsty and giving them plenty of sunlight and using them, the chances are that they're going to grow really big. So towards the end of the summer, I want you to take what we learned here and plant them into something bigger, because when you grow, you might need a new pair of shoes because your shoes fit a little bit tight. That's the same thing with plants. You'll know that it's time to repot them into bigger ones because the roots, those white kind of veins that you saw when we were planting, will start coming out of the bottom of your pot as they're looking for room to grow, okay? So remember everything you learned today so that you can plant them into something bigger, maybe like this, where you could plant all of your herbs in one nice big pot. So that you can make sure to give them plenty of room to grow. If you have a patio or a yard, I'm sure your herbs would love to live there. This Wednesday, when we get together to kind of check in, we are going to try to figure out where the best place is in your house to place your herbs. But these are things that can grow year round. So if you don't have an outdoor space, that's going to be totally okay. And it's going to be even better because it's going to allow you to grow herbs through the very cold winters to give you kind of a taste of summer.